Hello, welcome back to Transit Love recap for episode 17 and 18. Let's just get into it. So Seon pulls Sunji aside and he's like, oh, why did you choose Jihyun for me to go on a date with? And she was like, oh, I was in between Minkyung and Jihyun, but you texted Jihyun, so I sent you on a date with her because I thought you had feelings for her or whatever. And he's like, oh, aren't you jealous when I go on dates with other girls? And in a roundabout way, she's basically like, I care. Let's be honest, she don't care about this man, so no, she's not jealous. And she was like, oh, when I first came here, I was so shocked. And he was like, why? Because of Baekhyun? She's like, yeah, because I never thought he could like anyone else here because his ideal type isn't here. And then Seungyoung is like, oh, what's Baekhyun's ideal type? She was like, I said it before, but it's me. Girl, is she wrong? No, but still, you don't gotta say it. Then he's like thinking to himself, he's like deep in thought, and then he takes out something and he's like, oh, I bought you some incense while I was out. And she was like, oh, if I'm being honest, I was feeling really bad while being here because I felt that Baekhyun didn't respect me. But while dating Yushik, like, I felt like all those bad experiences disappeared. And Seungyoung was like, okay. And she's like, oh, I'm worried because I know we will do the X dates and I don't know if Baekhyun even has lingering feelings or not. Hyunji is like, the person I like the most is Yushik. And basically she's like, oh, I want to go talk to Yushik right now because he might misunderstand. She doesn't care about Seungyoung. We're moving on. On the date with Yushik, Yoon saw that he was wearing a couple ring that he made with Hyunji. And Yoon comes back and Minkyung was like, what did you find out? She's basically like, they made couple rings and he was wearing it. So Minkyung gets really mad. She realizes that Yushik is in Hyunji's room. So she opens the door and she's like, oh, can I talk to you for a second? So they go outside. And she's basically like, couple rings? And he's like, oh, we made it at a workshop. And she's like, are you that sure of your feelings for her? And she's like, is someone you met for a week the same as me? And he's like, how could they be the same? And she's like, then how could you go around wearing couple rings? You don't even wear rings. You don't wear accessories. You hate accessories. With me, you never wore a couple ring. She's crying really hard. Yushik he looks guilty because I feel like he understands that he did something kind of disrespectful. He dated her for 9 years and they never wore a couple ring, but then you met this girl, you've known her for what, less than a month, and you're wearing couple rings with her. Like, seriously? I really, at this point, I want Minkyung to like wake up. He's moved on. He won't tell you the right way that he moved on, but he's moved on. And he's like, oh, I'm not 100% team get back together. My feelings for getting back together are not big. Notice how he doesn't say 0. He never says it's 0. This is what really bothers me about this situation. The truth is his desire to get back together is 0, but he doesn't say that. Think about it this way. Let's say you dated someone for 9 years. This person is also the first person you dated, okay? Person is your whole world. You've never known anyone else romantically. You basically thought you would marry like your high school sweetheart, essentially. Then they say, I don't know if we should get back together. To me, I would hear this, especially considering it's my first relationship. I don't know anything about dating. I would hear this as like, so there is still a possibility. If she had dated a couple times, she would hear this and just be like, this is his roundabout way of saying, I don't want to get back together. It's not happening. I don't have any feelings for you anymore. Before this guy, she never dated. She's only ever dated one person. She doesn't know how this goes down. So if she doesn't hear it, I will never like you again. Her mind, especially because of how desperate she is always going to be like, then there's still a chance that we can fix this. What Yushik needs to do is a thing that he doesn't want to do, which is just say, I have 0 intention of ever getting back together. Then later in the conversation, he's basically like, let's not care about each other anymore. And she's like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, let's stop thinking about the fact that we're in the same space and not care about each other. I want to be free, to do what I want. That's essentially what he's saying. I think that really bothered me. I am like, if you're going to say that, then you also have to say all of the cruel stuff, which is like, I have no feelings for you anymore. You can't say, my desire to get back together isn't big. And then also say, let's not care about each other anymore. Because those two things are on totally opposite sides of the spectrum. And she's like, there's not a lot of time left here. And he's like, I know, that's why I'm telling you to stop wasting your emotions on me. And then somebody knocks on the door and Minkyung is like, let's talk later. And he's like, I don't want to talk later. And she's like, we're talking later. And she like leaves. This doesn't bode well for the next episode, as you will see later. So this was like a small little incident that happened like after the nightly text. Baekhyun goes to Hyunji because he's like, oh, where's the rings y'all made? Like, I want to see. And Hyunji's like, Yushik took his off when we came in. And he's like, oh, why? She gets closer to Baekhyun and she's like, oh, go say something to Yushik. She's basically like telling on him to her ex, being like, tell Yushik to wear the rings because she's like upset that Yushik won't wear the rings, even though Minkyung is clearly falling apart. Sungyoung comes over and he's like, oh, what's going on? And she's talking about the rings and stuff. They're just talking about the rings and how she's like upset about Yushik not wearing it. And they're just all joking kind of about Minkyung's pain. And it feels really mean. Then later, like Minkyung comes in and she's like, hi. She has no idea that they were talking about her. It's like sad. I just feel bad. They're basically talking about her behind her back and she doesn't even know. That's weird. It is weird. Sungyoung and Hyunji talk, and Sungyoung is like, oh, if you don't choose me for the final choice, you will regret it later. And he's like, unlike Yushik, I can give you the assurance you need about marriage. Then he goes, if you date Yushik, when are you gonna get married? She's like, wow, you're really coming at it like this? Like, he's like, oh, Yushik is young. Yushik might beat me in terms of looks, but in terms of like career and money, he's like, I'm popping. Like, then he goes, think realistically, Hyunji. I can make you into a department store VIP. Girl, what? Nothing stronger than some currency, you know what I'm saying? Yushik broke, but this man, he said he gonna make me a VIP. I'm switching it up. She's like, well, if you say it like that, I guess it's important to think realistically. But she just talks about Yushik more afterwards. And she tells him that Yushik and her privately agreed to go on a date essentially the next day. Anyways, I thought that was insane. Sungyoung goes to Minkyung. He's like, I would like us to join hands, essentially. He's like, if I'm telling you honestly, I want to ruin Yushik and Hyunji's relationship. If you feel the same way as me, let us form a pact. And then this is where Minkyung hears from Sungyoung that Hyunji and Yushik privately agreed to go on a date tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is not an official date day. They are choosing to go out without production forcing them to go out. And so that's why Minkyung is so heated. And she's immediately like, I'm gonna go talk to him right now. So she pulls Yushik out into the hallway and she's like, oh, are you going on a date tomorrow? He's like, what's wrong? And she's like, oh, it's not even an official date and you're going? That's how much you like her? And he's just like sitting there in silence. And she notices he has the ring on and she's like, oh, you're wearing the ring. Before she pulled him out, he was in a room with Baekhyun and Hyunji and they were showing off the ring. She's like, it's not even a date day and you're going on a date. And he's like, oh, can we talk tomorrow? And then she goes, you're doing something you're going to regret. I was honestly like, this is crazy. She's essentially saying the same thing over and over again. And he's basically like, I don't want to talk. And she's like, are you going on the date tomorrow because you have something to say to her? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, wow, you don't think of me at all. And he's like, let's go downstairs. Once again, the conversation is repeating. Okay. And she's like, no, really, why are you going out? And he's like, oh, why did you lose so much weight? And she's like, whose fault is it that I lost so much weight? Like, doesn't your heart hurt seeing me? And then he goes, I lost weight too. Like, I'm like, girl. He's basically tired of hearing her say the same thing over and over again. So he's like, oh, my stomach hurts. I have to shit. Like, I kid you not. She gives him this dirty look. Like, I would too. And she gets upset and frustrated again. So she like literally lies down on this table outside. And he's like, no, we need to go. Don't lie outside. It's not good for you. And he pulls her up and the episode basically ends with him leaving her at like this room or whatever. And he's like, I'm off to go shit. And she's just like, oh, I'm going to watch you go. And that's how episode 17 ends. This girl, this is so sad to see. There are so many fish in the sea. Let's move on to episode 18. So Hyunji and Yushik go on their date. And by the way, they're the only two people who left the house. So she's like, oh, I'm worried about you going back to Minkyung. She basically tells Yushik, if that happens, I like can understand. And Yushik says in a really roundabout way that he's not going to go back to Minkyung. And then Hyunji is happy hearing it, but it's like the way he said it was like, it was not direct. And so I don't even know why she's happy hearing this. If I heard him express himself to me in the way that he expresses himself, I would just be so frustrated. Wonggyu and Jihyun talk earlier before they talk. Oh, Wonggyu went over to Jihyun and he gave her like a present, like a page with lyrics written on it. And the lyrics were from a song called My Whole World by Card the Garden. For her receiving that present and then receiving the lyrics, kind of made her go back to that time, and it made her feel like his sincerity or whatever. And later they talk, and he's basically like, I thought about it a lot, and I realized that your way of doing things back then was not wrong. You weren't wrong. It was just different from me. But just because it's different from like how I would do things doesn't mean it's wrong. She is touched by that and moved by that. Do I want this for her? Absolutely not. But did he show some growth in this episode? Yes. So it's finally nighttime, and Yushik and Hyunji come back, and Minkyung immediately goes to find. Minkyung bursts into Yushik's room. She kicks all the guys out, and she sits down, and she's like, where did you guys go? And he's like, we went to a cafe. She sighs. She goes, my heart. And then she starts to cry. And she's like, I want to be honest to what I'm feeling right now. And the truth is, I want to date you again. I want to hold on to you. And he's like, if I'm being honest, I want to move on more than I want to get back together. And she's like, it would be better if you gave me some hope. He's like, if I gave you hope, that would be more disrespectful. When have I ever lied to you? And she's like, this feeling of betrayal is so strong. And he's like, until when are you going to make me the bad guy? When have I only told you the things that you wanted to hear? She's basically like, do the X date with me then. Can you say you won't do dates with someone else then? Here's where I think there was some miscommunication, because he says, okay, I won't do any dates anymore. I think he thought, I don't know if he actually thought this or if he's just choosing to ignore it, or if he just was giving her the answer she wanted to hear so that she would go away. I'm going to pretend that it was actually miscommunication for a second. When she said, don't go on any more dates, I know she meant period. At least until the X date, don't do any more dates with Hyunji or anyone else. He heard, don't ask her out of my own accord, at least until after the X date. Keep that in mind for later. So Minkyung is talking to Jian and Yoonyoung, and Minkyung tells them, oh, Yushik told me he won't go on any more dates anymore. And she's like, it's something he said. I believe that he will keep his word because the person I dated would keep his word. And then production sends a text out to everybody saying who's going on a date tomorrow. So Yoonyoung and Baekhyun are going on a date. Wonggyu and Jian are going on a date. Jaehyung and Jihyun are going on a date. And then it shows that Hyunji and Yushik are going on a date. So this makes Minkyung look so bad. Like, in my opinion, this is embarrassing for Minkyung because she just told all the girls, at least the girls who were with her, that she was like, oh, he told me he's not going on any more dates. And it's announced to everybody in the house can see that they're going on a date. After she literally went around telling people, he said he's not going to go on any more dates anymore. She's like looking at it in disbelief. She's like, you said you wouldn't go on any more dates. Basically, she goes to find him. And that's how this fight starts. She brings him outside. She basically is like, you said you weren't going out anymore. And he's like, oh, I meant I wouldn't go on unofficial dates anymore. She was like, oh, are you happy that you've made me look like an idiot? You're so mean. You don't think of me to death. She's like, are you happy after making me out to be a fool? And he's like, when did I do that? And she's like, you're doing it right now. Do you really have to take it this far? Is that all our relationship was? And she's like, what did I do that was so bad that you're doing this to me? During the pre-meeting, did I say anything terrible to you? You said I looked like I had no lingering feelings. And he's like, yeah, that's what it looked like to me. And she's like, how could I not have lingering feelings? He's like, but during the interview, what did you say? And she's like, that I wanted to meet someone new. And he's like, exactly. And she's like, that's possible in the beginning. She's like, oh, so this is what you came out on the show to do because you wanted to abandon me like this, because you wanted to see me destroyed like this. She's like, you said you didn't not have feelings left, but now you're going out with Hyunji. And he's like, could I pick you earlier? They said we couldn't. And she's like, but we talked about it earlier. Is that why you're delaying giving your answer to me until the very end? He's like, what am I delaying? She's like, you kept giving me hope. And he's like, when did I do that? And she's like, you said you didn't not think of me. That's giving me hope. Because he doesn't say clearly, I don't want to get back together. She holds on to, oh, that she's desperate. He's like, so I said I do think of you, obviously. And she's like, you know what? Fine. Date Hyunji then. If our 9 years was nothing to you, just date her. He's like, were our 9 years nothing to you when you said in the interview you wanted to meet someone new who would treat you better than I did? And he continues, he's like, think about the things you did too. And she's like, wow, that's funny. Who's the person who made us break up? And he's like, do you want me to just give up on everything and date you again? And she's like, give up on what? And he's like, are you expecting me to never work and only hang out with you? And she's like, when did I ever tell you to give up on work? And he's like, what else do I have to give up on then? And she's like, all I ever asked for you to do was to just care about me more. If you just said you were sorry, it would have been enough. And he's like, so are you saying we should enter the same relationship again where I continue to get hurt? And she's like, I'm saying I don't want to lose you. How many times do I have to say it? In the middle of talking to him, she walks away and she starts to cry. It's raining outside, by the way. It's raining. It's windy. There's a literal typhoon in the middle of Japan during this point in time. He was like, oh, we should go inside. We should go inside. And she like pulls her arm away. She's like, no, like whatever. And she tells him, after I leave here, if you don't choose me, I will never see you again. Are you okay with that? And he's like silent. Yeah, he's okay with that. That's what he wants. Just to be clear, that's what he wants. She's like, just tell me it's impossible. Tell me that you hate me now. And he's like, we dated for 9 years. Do you think it'd be easy for me to say that? And for me, I heard him say that and I was like, oh, so you admit it. You want to say that. Like, that's how I heard it personally. And she's like, oh, Hyunji wants to get married someday. What do you think about marriage? You said that you couldn't do marriage with me. Have you talked about this with her? And he's like, did I come out on the show to get married? And she's like, but that's part of the reason that we broke up. Have you ever thought about your future with me? And he's like, yeah, I have. And she's like, why did you never talk to me about it then? And he's like, because I wasn't so sure about doing something like that. Like, do I have to talk to you about something that I'm not sure about? If you're dating, then yeah, you kind of do. And she's like, so just tell me, what did I do so wrong? Tell me. Like, he's like, you know what? I was wrong. And she stares at him and she goes inside and he follows her inside and it ends. Thank God. This conversation was edited down and it still lasted 7 minutes and 52 seconds. Yo, I thought I was stuck here for like an hour. It was so suffocating. And it was edited down. I guarantee you they were actually out there for like 30 minutes. At least. Minkyung at this point is, she, you know the 5 stages of grief? We did denial. We've done anger. We've done bargaining. She's done depression. She can't get to acceptance. It's good. Just to be very clear, this conversation did nothing for them, okay? They're in the exact same place as they were before they started the conversation. Useless ass conversation. Minkyung is pouring out her anger. She's so angry. She's so hurt. She's been in so much pain. She feels like she's losing the person she built her whole life with, the person she imagined her future with, because she's like, but I spent all this time with you. But just because you spend years with somebody doesn't mean they will return that energy back. That's just how it goes. But she doesn't know that because she's never dated anyone before this one time. You know what? You made a mistake. You spent 9 years with the wrong person. Sucks. It do be. Sometimes that's just what happens. Okay, but you have an opportunity to move on. What you guys value and want is different. Seeing her fall apart like this, it genuinely breaks my heart. The only thing Yusha could do better here, in my opinion, is just be more clear. Like I've been saying consistently, it's not that he moved on is a problem. You can move on. You can stop liking somebody whenever you want. But then when that happens, you need to be clear to the other person. Just say, I have stopped liking you. We are done. I am never going to see you again after this. Say that. Then even if she hangs on to you and she cries and she's depressed about it, you did what you were supposed to do. Then that's her problem. But like, he already knew that he felt this way before they went to Japan. Before they went to Japan, she had been trying to talk to him. He avoided her ass like crazy. And only now is he starting to like slowly tell the truth. But by now, she is so deep in the denial bargaining phase, she never got a chance to get to acceptance. So now you want her off your back, but she's gone fully insane. Like she's gone full crazy mode. And since she is fully insane now, nothing you say will get through until she's out of this situation. She is going to be stuck being insane until we're out of the show. At this point, it's an obsession. So next, Woojin is like, oh, why did you choose Wonggyu even though you texted me? And she was like, oh, I want to tell him that like, I want to get back together with you and that I want to like clear things up with him and like end like our relationship that we built. And he's like, oh, but when I wanted to do that with Minkyung, you said that like that was bad. And you were like, oh, why couldn't you just do that here? So isn't it like hypocritical for you to go do the thing that you told me was like bad for me to do? And she was like, you're right. I shouldn't have done that. I was wrong. I was like, wow, how healthy. He was like, okay, I understand. He goes downstairs. He's a little bit drunk and he starts to cry. And she goes downstairs. She follows him downstairs and he's like, no, go away. I don't want you to see me cry. She's like, oh, like, I won't look. So she just like lies down next to him and she's like laughing because she thinks him crying is fun. She thinks him crying over this is funny. They're really cute here. I'm not going to lie. I felt for a long time that this was a bad idea, but I don't know. I think they are looking like they're resolving and talking about the things that frustrated her when they were dating. Because she's so headstrong, I believe that if the relationship makes her unhappy again, she will leave. They really felt like a couple that cared about each other here. Minkyung and Yushik are talking again. I don't know why. It is mostly the same shit. She's just like, oh, I'm thankful for all the time we spent together. That's why I'm holding on to you like this. And he's like, oh, I get it. I've been saying for days, I get it. I understand. Or whatever. And she's like, if you let go of my hand, that's it. It's over. The times we spent together will become nothing. And I hope you will live with the pain of feeling sorry towards me for the rest of your life. Girl, she needs to get off the show. Cut the cameras. Yo, that is so insane. Why? You don't need him. You can't do that for her. Like, I was like, really? He has to live with the pain of not dating you for the rest of his life? It was that serious? Anyways, this was really sad. She's like, let's stop now. And she leaves. So something I have noticed as well is that the conversation only stops when Minkyung decides it stops. Like, she will leave when she is done. And Yushik, no matter how much he wants to end the conversation will end. So I understand why Yushik is tired. However, you know how we can fix this situation if you tell her, I don't want to get back together. And from now on, I will not have any conversations with you. Set some boundaries and stick to them. Don't talk to her anymore. Tell her very clearly you never want to get back together. Leave, and then we're done here. If you had done this conversation properly before going to Japan, we wouldn't be here. Whatever. So Hyunji and Seungyeong, they go downstairs. I don't know why they're talking again. Their conversations do absolutely nothing. Hyunji is basically like, oh, why did you tell on me to Minkyung about us going on a date? You shouldn't have done that. She'll feel bad. That's not the reason why you care. You care because you didn't want Minkyung to find out about the date. And Seungyeong is like, you seemed like you weren't feeling good. And she's like, no, I have a lot on my mind. And she's basically like, oh, he has more of like what I want. Like your way of speaking, it's not soft or sweet. And then he immediately switches up. He's like, I'll speak sweetly or whatever. So to me, it feels like I said before that I think Seungyeong is very zesty, but I wonder if that's not him naturally. Maybe because he knows that Hyunji wants someone who's really sweet and caring. He like worked on himself and he became zesty as a part of becoming a sweet and caring man. And that's how he got his zest. Thinking about the fact that he worked on himself and changed for Hyunji, I think is really sad because she don't want his ass. So this is where the show ends. Hyunji knocks on Yushik's door and she's like, oh, like, where are we going on our date tomorrow? When are we meeting? And he's like, at 7. They're laughing. They're talking about their rings. And then Hyunji hears somebody coming out into their hallway. She realizes it's Seungyeong, so she goes and she hides in Yushik's closet. And then Yushik goes to close the door to hide the fact that Hyunji is there. By the way, his roommate is sleeping. So all of this is happening in secret. Seungyeong like pushes open the door and then Yushik holds it back. And Seungyeong's like, oh, you're not going to drink? And he's like, no, I'm going to sleep. And he's like, oh, okay. And he leaves. And Yushik closes the door and the two of them are like laughing in the closet. They act cute together and then she leaves the room and that's how the episode ends. To conclude, Minkyung, you gotta move on. Yushik, I still don't like you. I understand why you're tired though. Seungyeong, you gotta move on. Okay, if you enjoyed this episode recap of 1718, please subscribe and I will go back to doing these weekly. So we will see if Minkyung will wake up or not. We can only pray that she does. So yeah, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.